because those are the kind of people that I'm going to want to keep around forever. Those are the kind of people that are going to respect me when I say I can't, or when I give them my no. And they'll love me because when I tell them no, because that means something that I always say, if I can't tell you no, how are you supposed to trust my yes? All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming to the Have a Drink podcast, where I want to invite y'all to come sit, think, and have a drink while we discuss all different topics of the generation, diving into our hearts and minds. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today, rolling off the topics of fear, its presence amongst us, how we deal with it, and where it's at in the world.
I'm sorry, you guys are stuck with me crunching.
No, bro, you good. Just, pop, don't stop. Oh, yesterday. So yesterday, I got my dead tooth pulled. I don't know if we've talked about it at all, but like I have a deathly fear of the dentist. Like
what?
I have a deathly fear of the dentist. Like I'm so like shaken and like nervous, and I'm on the verge of passing out when I'm there.
He put out a pretty good motherfucking tweet about this shit too.
Yeah. I several years ago, when I was a like tiny human, I had gone to the dentist, the generic state, dentist, or the what was it, in Vallejo, the the Medi-Cal dentist, and at that time, being us being younger, it wasn't as structured or as involved as it is now between like doctor and patient. Before, it was just like, patient came in, doctor came in, just fucked with your teeth. If you didn't like it, then you can get out. And like I was put through a very traumatic experience at a very young age. I was going through pain while getting my tooth worked on, and the doctor came in, gave me a shot. I was already afraid of needles, like I toughed that out, and he came back in and he starts working on my teeth, and I'm like in excruciating pain because I'm like, I can still feel what you're doing. And all he did was look at me. He goes, "Stop crying." He's like, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" He's like, "I mean, I don't need to work on your teeth anymore. You can just leave and go to the hospital, because the hospital is going to do worse. They're going to have to cut open your mouth. They're going to do all sorts of surgery. They're going to do also." I'm like, no. And like, I'm sobbing there. I think I'm like 6. I think I'm 6 years old when that happened. And like, I just remember sobbing and like not being able to have a voice, not being able to have control over the amount of pain that I'm feeling in that moment. And so every experience from the dentist after that was terrifying. It created this PTSD trauma that just is like year after year after year. I'm 28 and still terrified of the dentist. Like, I'm a grown-ass man. I take my kids to the dentist. I beef them up. I make it so they have some, they have fun, that they're encouraged, that they feel confident. But me stepping foot into a dentist's office, on the inside, I'm trembling. Yeah, like I'm trembling. And so yesterday, day before yesterday, or no, sorry, pardon me, Friday, my tooth had cracked. I have a tooth in my mouth that was dead. The root had, I needed a root canal. That didn't end up happening. The tooth just died. So I went through excruciating pain, then it stopped. And then I didn't feel anything. Tooth finally cracked Friday. I called the dentist. I was like, I have to get this out. I'm even more terrified now that we're doing the COVID-19 lockdown and all that shit's going on, to go to the dentist, the person's going to be all up in my mouth, then, and on top of it being the dentist. And so I still had to get it done. So I got the piece that cracked and fell out of my mouth, put that off to the side and called and set up an appointment. And yesterday I went in and explained to them, like, I'm terrified. Like, I know you guys get a lot of people who are afraid of the dentist. Like, I'm like pass out terrified. And so they said, don't worry, we work with people like that all the time. And in my head, I go, yeah, I've heard that before. and so I go back in there, I sit down, and they do x-ray for me. And they, like the person at the front desk even came back, tried to reassure me. The dentist is used to handling things like this. Don't, like, you're in good hands. Don't worry, and I'm like, easier said than done, but I'll try. And he came in, and I just remember he gave me the shot, and I swear he hit a nerve when that happened, because, or whatever, I don't know. I was told this is the kind of thing that happens. There was just like the sound. It felt like electricity. My entire face tingled, and then I went numb, and I remember him leaving and coming back. He goes, well, how are you feeling now? Numb? And I was like, I'm getting there. And then by the time he waited till I got super numb, I went through that process of trying to breathe and be okay. And he came in again, and he gave me another shot. And the nurse, the dental assistant, had to be like, breathe. I'm like, thank you. Because I was freaking out, and I was trying not to shake, not to do anything. And I was trying to just power through it. And something that I kept repeating over and over again to myself through the entire day, through the moment I was getting dressed to leave the house, was, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I can do hard things. And I repeated that to myself, because that's something that I tell the boys when, my tiny humans, when they're struggling with something, or they go, it's hard, or, oh, this is too hard, or they feel like they're not gonna be able to get it done. I'm like, you can do hard things. You can do hard things. Yes, it is hard, and you can do hard things. And I make them repeat it, say it, and they're like, I can do hard things. I'm like, good. Whenever you're feeling like you're struggling, you're feeling like this moment of overwhelm, remind yourself you can do hard things. And so I just tried to take that and push forward with it, and go through that. But understanding the definition of courage. The definition of courage is having fear but moving forward in it anyway. And and that's what I just kept trying to do. And the dentist worked on my tooth. He started, and man, I'm telling you, I put in a headphone, and I have my own music playing, and I'm trying to get myself into a space, and I can he's messing around, he's poking my thing, he's like, can you feel that? I'm like, nope, can't feel that. Oh, thank God. And then he starts working on the tooth, and he has to break the tooth in order to get it out first. And that he's like, let me know the moment you feel any pain. I'm like, okay. So he's breaking the tooth, and then I felt this twinge, and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling something. And he goes, all right. Came, pulled out a needle. I'm like, okay, needle my face again. And he's like, you got this, power through it. And he gave me the shot, and then it went super numb. And then he gave me another one. He's like, I'm gonna give you one over here, and super numb. And he went through, and he's like, all right, there's this last little bit I need to get out. And he's like, let me know if you feel any more pain, but we're gonna try and go. And it's he just broke it and got it out. And it, before I knew it, it was out. And then he got the infection out. And at the end of that, he showed me it. He showed me the pieces he pulled out, the infection he pulled out, and everything. And I thanked him over again. And then as I got to the front, I sat down, and I can feel this rush of all the trauma I felt throughout the years. And I had to wait till I got into the car after they, did their spiel of, this is how you take care of it. This is your prescription. These are the things you're going to need. And I broke in the car. I sobbed so hard. I sobbed like I had just gone to war. I had just seen some shit. It felt like that level, all those feelings and things that I went through just kind of came out, and I was like, I got through it on the other side. I lived. It didn't hurt as much as, the things that in the past that had happened to me. So I had gone through this whole trauma reframing, of an experience. And so I felt different after that to today. I'm in a whole different space when it comes around it. It feels weird having no tooth there. But ultimately, yeah. Ultimately, there's no there's no pain, there's no discomfort, there's no, outside of, having them had to have to dig into my face for a bit, and that's going to cause some pain later. But I got pain meds for that, so I've been good.
I'm so proud of you.
No,
I'm very, very proud of you. I'm very.
it's just looking.
First of all, it's so weird watching me. I'm watching you and I'm listening to you intently, but I can see myself. She's like wrapped up in it like it's a freaking movie. Like, and then what happened? What?
Oh.
Yep. I was following him for it, but I'm proud of you, man. I mean, it's a very scary thing to face your fears and to go through things like that. But I will say this. This portion of what you just spoke about, I just think you should show your dentist. And I'll tell you why. You just expressed to them that they were so great at their job and high level and being able to clearly communicate, and the way that you treat your patients can change a person's life. That was a life-changing experience you just had right now.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you, man. It's a terrifying thing, because you are literally at the mercy of somebody else, and your health depends on it. And that person was able to speak life into you and reassure you to let you know you're okay. And the other thing is you proved your boys right. You showed your boys that, hey, daddy can do it, I can too. You showed your nephew, my uncle can do it, I can too. You showed your household, if he can face it, I can too. And you showed me, if you can face it, I can too. So I'm very proud of you, and I thank you for sharing that moment.
Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, that's something that definitely ran through my mind. Of that was the reason why I just kept repeating it to myself. I was like, I'm telling the boys this. I'm telling them over and over in these moments, and I feel like I would be doing them a disservice if I did.
I just looked over. I just looked over.
I'm sorry. No, I did too. I looked over right to O's eyes.
No, I was like this though. I was like listening to you, and I'll look up for like 2 seconds, and I'm
All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being silly. Continue. I apologize.
No, thank you, brother. That was so funny.
your eyes were popping out of your head though. That was beautiful. That was hilarious. That was some. His eyes was popping out of his head.
But yeah, I felt like I would be doing my boys a disservice if I didn't take my own advice. If I didn't follow my own creeds that I impart on them. And that's something that I've always thought about and felt, like even when Ian, before Ian was born, my whole mentality was, if I ever had a kid, I'd be there for them no matter what. But I would be there for them in my way, to show them that I can still be true to myself and be there. I wanted to show them that I can also do hard things, and so can you.
That's awesome. I have a similar type story, not as traumatic, but a similar type story of facing fears was going with my wife and my daughter to Disneyland. And my issue is I don't do roller coasters. I'm not a fan of roller coasters. What's up, Eddie?
What's up, brothers? How y'all doing?
We're blessed, man. But do me a favor. Can you put a little more light on your face, or look up for me? Michael B. Jordan, look up a little bit. Okay, your stash is just really light. All right. You made me nervous. Your stash was extremely light.
Oh, no, I ain't shit.
Did a Z shave?
Yeah, I was like, man, where your stash at?
No, my wife ain't going for that. It's the lighting. My wife ain't going for that. Let me sit over here. You see it?
Okay, there we go. You need a little shadow. There we go.
Yeah. What's up, man? Good old
It's
Omega.
good. It's good to see you, brother. It's good to see you.
Good seeing you too. Z, what's how you doing?
Doing good. I was just updating on triumph of yesterday.
Okay. Oh yeah, you got to update me. And my man Ill Will, I can't forget about you. What's up? How you doing?
Good, bro.
I'm gonna get back to what I was saying, but quick sidebar. If you want to know anything very personal about me that only one other person in this world knows,
Uh
I love these partially popped pieces of popcorn.
huh. Whoa, that's
I could dig it.
I can't.
But anyways, back to my little half story. We're talking about facing your fears and dealing with traumatic moments. And what I was telling Z and Ill Will was when I went to Disneyland with my wife and my daughter for the first time, they ride everything. They do all of that. I don't. I am terrified of roller coasters. Can't stand them. Too loud, too fast. I have no control. People always look at me like, well, how is that? You flip, you do all this stuff. Like, why are you afraid of roller coasters? Because I have control of my movement, my trajectory, my everything. And I don't like the sensation of free falling. Hate it. See? You heard me say something. Hate it. Don't like it. Not about that life. But my daughter being my martial arts student and me knowing her for all her, since she was 7 was, hey, you got to face your fears. You got to try it. You got to do it. You know what I mean? It may be uncomfortable, but sometimes if you're uncomfortable, it'll make you better. She's like, Dad, I want to go on the roller coaster. All right, cool. I want you to go with us. Nah, I'm good. She's like, come on, we got it. No, it wasn't a roller coaster. It was Splash Mountain. Yes. And it's a water ride. Oh, Lord Jesus. Not the business. And my boy T was there too. His very first time at Disneyland. And he's like, brother, are you serious? I was like, man, what can I say? I'm like, I can't look at this little girl and tell her, you got to face your fears. You got to do things. You got to try things. And I sit there and say, no, and I don't do it. So we get on the ride. Now, if you guys have not ridden on this ride, it's a log. 4 seats, no seat belts. My daughter, my wife, me, my boy T. This is all you see. I dipped my head all the way out the shot. Put my head between my knees. In the picture, you see my wife and my daughter. You see no me. You see this. That's all you see in my spot. And then you see my boy T like this. That is it. And I was like, you were getting this picture. They're like, why? Proof that I was there. But you don't see you. But y'all know I was there. Y'all know what empty seat was. But after that moment, she's like, Dad, thanks. And it meant the world to her, the fact that I faced my fear and just did that. Now to this day when we go, she already knows, don't ask me, you got a boyfriend, take that food. But me, I'll say it right here. I'll hold the bag and I'll hold my drink.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I appreciate that, brother.
Splash Mountain, I wasn't doing that shit neither. You're not alone. It's good.
No joke.
I wasn't doing that shit neither.
No seatbelts. One log.
How about you, Eddie?
I'm definitely a fan of Splash Mountain and roller coasters now. I used to be afraid of them, but it took a conquering my fear situation to learn that I loved them. After I went on the first one, now the scarier the better. Like it's kind of like finding excitement in the unknown, like dancing on the borderline of not knowing where that fear was going and excitement. You know, I mean, because let's be real, the fear of a roller coaster is something goes wrong and you fall out or it derails and you die. But that adrenaline and along with the excitement, along with getting through the roller coaster and walking away from it, is what creates that rush for me. You know, like, you know, how many times have we all done something that we weren't supposed to do and then we walked away from it? It was like, dude, that could have went so wrong. but you laughing and high fiving, and it was fun. So I kind of get a kick out of that. I guess like kind of like an adrenaline junkie type deal, but no, I mean I love roller coasters, man. Lately I've even got a kick out of plane turbulence, which is so weird. Like that's a whole nother story. Like the shakier the better. It's weird. Yeah.
Interesting.
Thrill
Yeah.
seeking,
Interesting.
if you will.
About to be on one of them tiny planes. Small ones. I'm
Oh
terrified.
yeah, yeah. The tiny plane. They rock my boat.
Last time I was on a plane.
We're gonna experience a little bit of turbulence right now. This is your
Right.
plane.
This is awesome.
And this is me.
No joke. A little bit of turbulence. That is I mean, I've had
Not a little bit. It's gotta be some bad turbulence for me to be.
Okay, well, all right, hold on. I've had my fair share of gripping me at random times during a flight because he's like, oh, shit. Hey, I'm
In my defense, I was asleep or about to fall asleep, and I didn't expect that little drop, and it woke me up. I was like this. I'm all.
Oops, you weren't alone though, so that's okay.
Believe it or not, I love planes. I'm just not a fan of roller coasters. But see, the crazy thing is I've gone to Disneyland so many times. I've ridden a lot of the roller coasters there, just because of that very reason of trying to be that guy for my daughter and my wife. But we did go to Universal Studios, and they wanted to go on the Mummy ride. Lord.
That ride is off the hook.
Let me say this. I was terrified to do that ride too. But I got on. And brother, when I say I was laying in my wife's lap, or doing what I thought was laying in her lap because they got you strapped in a harness.
Right.
Broke neck trying to get over there. And I rode that ride, and I did not know that sucker goes in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes all the way through, stops, and then you go through the whole thing in reverse. By the end of it, when I got back, I was like, that was cool. And they were like, nobody's in line. I said, let's do it again.
Hey, there you go.
I did it twice in a row.
Once you get past that first one, you're like, no, I didn't die.
Yeah, so I got to say, it was good.
Right. But, being able to flip has almost ruined roller coasters for me because when they do loop or twist or anything, I still have a good sense of gravity just from being used to flipping. So I don't really get dizzy or anything. It kind of takes away from the suspense. My thing is the dip. That first initial dip is my favorite part, especially on Splash Mountain because there are no seatbelts and you do kind of feel yourself lift up off the seat. But yeah, I like that one.
No, brother. I'm like, no, brother, not me. Not at all. Not in the slightest. Man. So catch us up. H.A.D, we missed you last week.
I know. No, I missed y'all last week, man. I actually had this feeling of incompleteness because I missed out on talking to you. I missed out on venting, on the laughter. So I'm definitely happy I found the time to make it.
Well, thank
Join
you.
Us too, man.
And I'll send you episode 3.
Right.
Love it.
But no, last week was pretty chill. I did a lot of looking at the news, of course. I actually took like 2 weeks off of looking at coronavirus and the pandemic and everything. And I started back looking at it and then looking on social media at the way people are responding to how things are transpiring. And it's honestly, I had to say it, but it's making me lose faith in people, like the stupidity that some people have. The fact that there is no urge to do better. Like they're opening California back up Friday, and I don't think people are ready for it. I don't think California's ready for it. people are still out, no mask. People still have to be reminded to wash their hands. It's like, I don't think people are really grasping how bad this could go. And not even for the whole country, just for you. I'm motivated by simply protecting my household first. Like, I don't even have to think about, oh, what is this gonna do for the country? You protect home first, and it's like people are taking that risk, and it's crazy. I was talking to a close friend last week, and he said because of money, he wants the country to open back up, and if you die, you die. Man, I'm hoping, I'm praying that, like, we all as a whole can get in our right minds. Unity playing a big part.
You mentioned that the California is opening back up on Friday. What did you mean by that? Because I haven't heard anything. The last I heard was we weren't going to open up until the end of the month.
That's what I heard. And then I heard that San Francisco was doing phase 2 on Friday, meaning like restaurants can open up, but you can only have a limited amount of customers, or you have to bring their food to the door. Same with bars. So restaurants and bars basically can serve people, but they can't have customers inside. And then I heard that it's all of California that's doing that, which I guess is cool, but people weren't following the guidelines when they were telling everybody to stay home. So what do you think they're gonna do when they say, okay, you can go outside and go to restaurants, but just don't go inside? Like, it's one of those, you give them an inch and they take a foot situation.
Exactly like with my kids. So yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of people I know who have just been kind of like messing around during this time, and they're not thinking about what they're doing or what their actions could lead to, because they're just kind of going out being like, fuck this quarantine. I could go and do whatever the hell I want. They're like,
right.
We're not in school right now. Like, we're not doing nothing. And I'm like, think about your family though. Like, think about the people around you type shit. Like,
right.
There's a lot of people I know who are just completely ignoring the situation, going, oh, I can't die from it. Oh, I can't get sick from it. Oh, da-da-da, woo-woo-woo. Like, thinking they're immune or some shit. And I'm like, it's not even about that. Even if that's true, you could be a carrier. Think about someone in your house. Like, for me, if I got it, I probably wouldn't necessarily get sick from it. Damn, he gone.
Damn, you defended Eddie so much.
he said,
he got a poor connection. We all know that.
You said some really good things, and I agree. I will say that people are more worried about wealth than self. And even though that's not completely accurate verbatim, but let me explain my point. People are more worried about paying their bills because they know those bills are still going to be wanting to get paid and having the money. So they don't care about the other people because they got to take care of their own household first. And I get it. I understand it. Do I agree with it? Not entirely. Because it's those people that don't have the luxury of being able to work from home necessarily, or be able to provide at the level that they would like to. And again, like I said, I'm not a fan of it, but I'm also one of those people that's going through it as well, But fortunately, my wife is the main breadwinner of the household. Yep, my wife. So I'm safe, right? But for me personally and my own personal sanity, it's kind of hard because all of my work deals with people. Like for instance, last week, I started working out at the park with some of my other guys from the gym because it's hard to train my striking or anything else with nothing there. I can shadow box only so much. I can only train jiu-jitsu by myself so much. Well, I haven't really, so I'm not going to use that as an example because I'd be lying to you guys. But I mean, shadow boxing, doing the biting, all that stuff is good, but that's not going to help me personally, me mentally or more physically. So I use one of the water bags that my boxing coach has at the park. You know, they're able to train, and I was able to train in my own space. You know, still respecting social distancing, and we're still able to have a conversation, but we are able to do it in our own space. You know, this week, actually last week I started training my wife, and then today I trained my wife as well. But my cousin came in town from Chicago, and he's like, "Yo, I'm here. I'm only here until Sunday. Can we train?" You know what? It is very rare that you're ever in town. Let's go. And I made that time, even though I had to think. I have to think about his health and especially because he's a pro athlete, I have to worry about his health. So a lot of my training coaching was from afar. And I'm like, this is how I have my mask, and I'm able to wear my mask, and I'm able to coach from afar. When we did get close for me to have to hold mitts for him, I made sure my mask was on, and I made sure that when we were done, we separated. But why is because I have to keep that in mind. And then I have to clean my stuff. And he was like, yo, I'm going to take a shower. And we stay clean. So we got to keep each other clean because why? We have to respect each other's health because our health is our wealth. But a lot of people outside, all they think about is their pockets. And I can't blame them. I can't be mad at them. But I do have the choice of, do I want to surround myself with them or not?
Thank you for sharing that. Because yeah, no, that's it's been bringing to light, you know, a lot of different things of how or who I want in my life, you know, from this point forward. Because kind of seeing how people are handling the situation shows people's true colors. You know, I have friends that post online, you know, oh, I'm so upset that we have to be in here, you know, like, oh, you can't keep me, or a relative of mine, I won't get specific because, you know, they're probably gonna watch this. A relative of mine, you know, they're out and they're not social distancing, you know, they may be confined to one space for a little bit, but then I see things about them going out or them hanging out with a bunch of their friends, you know, having a little party or whatever, a social distancing party. And I think I'm like, how are you, first, how are we related? Second, how are you not taking this as seriously as you should, considering, I mean, even your own partner is someone who is at high risk. You know, how are you so callous with, you know, being around other friends of yours when you have to take care of someone sick in the house that you're staying? You know, it confuses me, and so it makes me want to reframe who I want in my life. You know, who really takes their own life seriously, and the people around them, because those are the kind of people that I'm going to want to keep around forever. Those are the kind of people that are going to respect me when I say I can't, or when I give them my no. And they'll love me because when I tell them no, because that means something that I always say, if I can't tell you no, how are you supposed to trust my yes? You know, like I feel like that's, you know, it's really important, because if you don't know how to say no, then you're just going to say yes to everything. If you don't know how to create your own boundaries, then people are just going to cross them. And it's really important to, you know, move forward with that, and seeing my friends, seeing family members not take that same approach, not take that same passion behind it. You know, it makes me, you know, rethink our connection, rethink our friendship. It's alarming. You know, it's alarming to see how many people are digging in their heels and wanting to go the other direction, and be like, oh, you know, this is not going to affect me. This is not going to hurt me. I'm not going to die from this. When, you know, we're seeing people my age, his age, people tiny humans age, going through this and not making it on the other side. And it's devastating. I watched the Sesame Street special with the kids, and they were answering questions for the tiny humans that have questions of why can't we go hang with our friends, but I'm not sick, why can't we go hang out with them? Like Ian's asked us that verbatim, actually, when we were outside, and his teacher, who lives up like across the street and 2 houses down, they were out on their lawn playing with their family, and we were out on our lawn, and he looks at me and goes, why can't we go over there? Like, we're not sick. Like, we're not sick, they're not sick. Why can't we go hang out with them? And, had to explain to him, even though we're not sick and they're not sick, having to explain that to him, of being like, even though we're not sick, we don't want to risk it, and we don't want to spread it on to someone else, and that it's really important to follow these rules. And so we watched it, and as we're watching it, like, they go through dealing with big feelings, understanding, what's going on with people. And then the other one was, coping. How do you cope with loss? And because they say, remember, people are losing people, and it's important to remember that, to remember that even though you may not be sick and no one's sick in your house, that people are still losing people. People are still passing away and getting sick and passing away from it. And as they were doing that, they were showing pictures of individuals. You'd see there was a husband and a wife who both passed away. There's all these like random individuals of varying ages, even down to small ages. Like it was such an eye opener to what is going on, that I'm like, how are people going online? How are people posting that they're so upset that they have to be inside? I'm not making any money. I'm not making any money. Like we working from home except for unemployment, or the stimulus. But but I'm also thinking about, as you said before, I'm thinking about not just me, but my immediate family and my friends.
Yeah, so like maybe like 2 years ago, I came up with this thought that, or I recognize that I hate money, right? And that's pretty crazy to say. Like, I do not like money. I respect it. I get the concept of it, but I don't like it. It does make me comfortable because I have a family to feed and provide for, but I don't like what it does to people. Here's an example. I have a friend who will go broke trying to keep up with other people who have more money, all because of the way it makes you look, just the all around persona of money. And I'm dealing with it now. There are people willing to risk their lives for money, risk their children's lives for money. They don't care about what's going on, all because it's hurting their pockets. And it's just confirming the way I feel. Like, I feel like every story that I've seen, people who don't respect this social distancing, is all motivated by money. Nothing else. Because you can go outside if you need to get some fresh air. If you need to talk to somebody, you can talk if you stay a certain distance away. But now that there's money involved, or video chat, but when the money is involved, they're ready to risk their lives. And I don't agree with that. I'm not risking my life for a piece of paper, period.
That was awesome, man. And I agree. I agree. Let me ask you this. Do you think society would be the same if they talked about the survival rate over the death rate? Because I feel like they talk about the grand case of how many cases there are, which is good. We do need to know that. That's important. But then everything's about how many people are dying, how many people are dying, how many people are dying, as opposed to talking about how many people are surviving. Because my thought process is, what if we tried to flip it and say, last week we had 5,000 deaths, but this week's we've had 2,000 survivors, or 2,000 people have recovered from it and have gone home. So now you're showing progress and not just solely showing the negative side, even though the negative is what sells.
I don't think this is something where we need to make people feel comfortable. I don't think people should feel comfortable. Because if you say, yeah, we've had, I'm sorry, Z. If you say we've had this amount of illnesses or people that have the virus, but 50% survive, you're going to have 50% of people say, oh, well, shit, let me go outside then. Or it's only killing half the people. Let me, we good. I have a buddy that's in China right now, and he posted a video saying, yeah, the virus has killed like 100 or 200,000 people in China, but that's only like 3% of the population. So he kind of swept it under the rug or made it seem like it wasn't as bad. And I think that's the wrong direction, because yeah, it's not that bad until it happens to you or your family member. Then your whole world is crashing down. Like, yeah, nobody in my house is sick at the moment, but if my wife was to catch it and die, my whole world is crushed. And I think nobody is thinking about their neighbor. How is their world? Everybody's thinking about, well, I'm good. Oh, they sick over there. Well, I'm good. Like, I think we should try to adopt other people's emotions, other people's situations. That will help us care about each other. And
are you saying that we should be empathic and compassionate to one another? It's
right,
like,
right.
what where do you live in, brother? this is America. You heard Donald Glover?
Well, I'm just talking about loving thy neighbor.
Of course.
You spoken a lot of truth, and I'm sorry, Z. Go ahead. I'll wait.
You're good. I was literally going to say the same thing Eddie said, because I was thinking that the downplaying it, or the other side of it, of like talking about survivors, will give fuel to those individuals who are already being stubborn now, who are already like not like, oh, I don't have to stay home, I don't need to social distance, I want to go see my friends, I want to get deep down, those sorts of things. So go ahead.
But what about the mentioning of it in regards to saying, because you are social distancing, or because you guys are choosing to shelter in place, you are helping us to have people to, you know what I mean? Like, I know people don't think like that, but that's just me trying to always look for the bright side. But I know most people don't look at that. They don't act like that. They don't think like that. And they are not like that. Because I know a lot of people who are like, they're going to die, let them die. I got to get paid. I got bills to pay. I got things to do. And I don't like it because I have to stay away from my parents. I have to stay away from my in-laws. I have to stay from my mother, because they're both 60 plus.
I don't think people recognize that this is war. It is war against a biological enemy. It literally is.
It really is.
And let's say if we were at war against Russia, you wouldn't get a pat on the back for killing a soldier or surviving one fight. We celebrate when the war is over, when we won. And I don't think celebrate the fact that we have out of 1 million people, 600,000 survivors, because there's still 400,000 to be mourned. It's still 400,000 that could have been saved had we done something different.
Right.
I don't think anybody has to die from the coronavirus, if they follow the precautions. Like,
right.
There's still people that think this is fake.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
There's still people that think this is fake. There are people who think that the government gave this to us through vaccines. There are people that think that the coronavirus has been around. Someone said to me, how do you know that all the other flu deaths last year weren't the coronavirus? Autopsy, duh. But this the simple fact that everybody is thinking around, trying to think and take every other avenue other than the truth.
you see
All
that?
because they don't like the outcome.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
See, so what I've noticed is there are a lot of people who are trying to make it seem like they're trying to take this situation and they're trying to make themselves seem as if they're so like high and mighty, as if they're so like intelligent, or they know what the fuck is actually happening when they don't. They're trying to put themselves on a pedestal that they couldn't before, and they're using this situation as a way to kind of influence their perception or others' perceptions of them through this.
Yeah.
They're taking I don't want to say
fake news, but yeah, it's
but yeah,
false information, and
yeah.
perpetuating it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you'll find that everywhere. I mean, when you don't have all the information, your brain, like our brains like connections, and they like to have things that fill in gaps in order to create a whole picture for us. And a lot of times when we don't have all the information, when we don't know what was there before, when we don't know what's going on, then you know, all these things, we start creating all these things of possibilities of what it could be. Everyone likes to go back to, you know, the government is fucking with us. You know, everyone likes to go back to, you know, like, oh, they put this in our, they put this inside of us when we didn't even know, or the vaccine is supposed to kill us, or, you know, like all these different things. And that in itself generates fear. And I noticed this because I wanted to say this to you guys before, when we first had our the very first night of the Have a Drink podcast, before we started recording them. Like when we were all talking about it, and we were talking about the vaccine, or we were talking about, you know, like Bill Gates. We were talking about Bill Gates, and I know there was like jokes had here and there, obviously, but there was a moment that concerned me because I realized that fear, which is the topic of tonight, is infectious, and it's infectious amongst your communities. So I look at you know, people of color, and I see when Black Twitter starts blowing up about something, it spreads through the rest of the community, you know, like, and it sparks conversations between us. Cause I'm pretty sure y'all didn't find the hashtag Black as Fuck podcast video from YouTube just searching it. Like, it probably popped up in a Twitter feed, whomever shared it. But but it kind of shows that once that starts, it flows through the community. And if we're all supporting each other and we all have similar views, or we feel like something sounds valid, then everyone jumps on it. And I noticed that there was like this mob mentality, you know, of falling into that fear, because again, fear is infectious. And kind of being able to, and I said it that first night too, being able to take a step back and look at the entire picture, understanding science, the way things kind of work. Like you can put, you know, rational examples, rational experiences, rational information with irrational fear, and irrational fear will win out every time, unless you're approaching that irrational fear with your rational information of having like, all right, I know I'm like, if you're being mindful about it, pardon me, if you're being mindful about it, you can approach the situation saying, yeah, I'm terrified. I understand that this is probably coming from a place of fear, but also I understand the sciences behind this. I understand that you need usually you would need a live virus in order to create a vaccine. You know, usually, you know, like the way the vaccine, the way our cure for climate change is population control. And man, oh man, if you've looked at like the things that are going on in the world right now, the random ozone layer, that was the hole that was in there, is now closed because yeah, it's closed up completely.
It's closing, or did it close?
No, it closed. The last thing, I could be wrong, I could be like off, but the last I read, I saw that they said that the ozone layer, that hole is the one that was like growing.
Yeah.
It's now closed because the planet needed time to heal, and us staying inside, us not being out and creating all this carbon dioxide from cars, our breath, our like constantly moving factories that really weren't as necessary. It shows that there is truth to this. Like there's truth to, hey, we need to be doing something about our world and like where it's going, but also I want to get out of here. I want to see my friends.
Eddie, I wanted to kind of add something earlier, or add something onto what you said earlier about how people are looking at this.
Oh yeah, shoot.
Getting to use an example of something more personal that I'm going through. So, like earlier when you were saying, you were talking about how some people are more focused on their own family and their own households, while few people are actually looking at, oh, well, how is this person doing? How's this person doing? How is that person doing?
Loving that neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm one of those people who are kind of stuck in between, because in this situation, in normal situations, I'm normally looking at how everyone else is doing rather than myself, or even my own family. Because my thing is, I pay way more attention normally to everyone else around me than myself. So in this situation, I've taken a lot more time to pay more attention to myself, but not only that, pay a lot more attention to my mom and what she's going through. And the thing is, with my mom, she's already been sick. She's already been really fucked up for a long time. So I've already kind of had to live with that fear of losing her, possibly, like, just any day for the past, like, since I was a little kid, obviously, I've had to go through the fear of just losing her any day. So in this situation, I'm over here really just paying more attention to her and focusing on what I can do to keep her safe and keep all the kids safe and everything like that. And I haven't been paying attention to my friends or what they're going through as much as I normally do. And I've noticed that it's kind of taking its toll on me, because fear is kind of it's taking over me, because of that fear is building up even more with everything going on, because my mom, she's sick, she's pregnant, she got all this going on around her. And I just wanted to say, like, I understand, like, from a personal experience, that there are a lot of people who are more worried about themselves and their own families rather than their neighbors, like you said.
Thank you, because like I'm very proud of you in hearing this, because it not a lot of people your age understand the importance of taking care of yourself first. We've said it in here before, of the analogy of when the mask drops, you're supposed to put it on yourself first before you help, your the person next to you or your kid or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And to take that and internalize it and actually like put it into practice, like I'm really proud of you for that, because that is really hard to do. It is really hard to do, especially being someone who is selfless and puts others before my own self.
Mm-hmm.
I've been guilty of that. I've taken that time to reflect on me and the things that I need, and to hear you taking time to reflect on what is important to you, what are your needs, and in seeing that, you're also seeing that if you're going inward, you can also still go outward, because you're attaching that focus, you're attaching that care for yourself to your mom as well, and to your siblings, because you understand, you're important, and so are they, and so you should feel taken care of,
Yeah. Because see, normally it's this thing where it's about everyone else, and then recently it's this thing where I'm able to kind of do a little bit of both. but more so myself, which is really weird. It depends on the day. It's really weird situation.
And that's how life is, bro. Like you wake up and some days you just are not gonna be feeling good. This morning I put out a tweet. Actually, because I'll read the tweet to you guys if you don't mind, real quick. I'm gonna try to make this as fast. Pull it up.
The Mother's Day one.
Yeah, the Mother's Day one. I was sitting there and I was thinking about this. This is the tweet. I said, as Mother's Day closes in, I woke up missing my mom. She hasn't been in my life for over 2+ years, but it didn't stop the flood of things I wish I could share with her. When she got sick, I made it my life's mission to make it big and take care of her. And I couldn't do that in time. I'm 28 now, and this pain hits deep. For me, for them, please go tell your parents how much you love them. I vow to spread the love that she gave me to my children and to the world. I love you, Mom. And I put that out because, like, I woke up, you know, having triumphed, you know, like a childhood trauma and fear, you know, the next day, like I'm reflecting on me, you know, like I'm reflecting on what's going on inside of me, and these feelings bubbled up. And I didn't put it out there for people to like it or retweet it or to whatever. I put it out there because it's what I felt. And like, it was that moment, like I lived in that moment. I lived in that feeling. I lived in that space. And after that was over, I felt like I can continue my day. You know, like I let out the tears. I let out the feelings. I let it all out. And then I moved forward, and I got to spend the rest of the day, you know, doing homework with the kids. I got to go swimming with y'all, you know, putting together this Dungeons and Dragons campaign, like, you know, like, and looking forward to this. So yeah, not every day is you're going to be waking up feeling peachy keen. You know, some days you're going to wake up feeling like trash, and you know, that's fine. You know, just roll on that trash for a little bit, you know, like, and it's important, like any hard feelings, anything, any struggle that someone goes through, the best thing to do is go through it. 100% go through it. Don't, if you're going to go through something, don't half-ass it, whole-ass it.
Face your demons head on.
Yes.
Right. Another reason is you have no choice. I have went through a lot of things in my adult life with the judo mindset, and Omega, I know you're familiar with this. If I'm pulling away, it's a battle that I could lose. But if I go with the flow, I could take control. So, you know, whatever you're going through at the moment, especially if it's something that's inevitable, if you hit it head on, you know, you overcome it. So, yeah.
Well put, my brother.
I love that. And I just want to echo that same sentiment. And also, with the martial artist mindset is there's a beauty in war. There's beauty in war. And it's hard to think about it, but if you really take it back, there's a beauty in war. And I'm doing a callback to what you had mentioned earlier, like this is like a biological battle right now. And with us in quarantine, there's been so many positive things that have happened during this quarantine time. And I'm not saying this to disrespect or disregard those that have lost their lives or the families that are really traumatic or going through that. I'm not disregarding that whatsoever. But I did read that this has brought people back to eating at home with their family. This has brought parents having to teach and spend time with their children. This has brought people together to have to do more things as a family and pay more attention. Granted, yes, the flip side of that, or the upside down, I should say, is domestic violence is on the rise. Child abuse is on the rise. Divorce is on the rise. But for every sunshine, there's always going to be rain. For every negative, there's going to be a positive. So right now, I'm trying to find. So I'm trying to focus on the positive aspect. And brief, very brief. This has been the most beautiful thing is the time I've been able to spend with my wife has been beautiful. I've been training her in kickboxing recently, Muay Thai. I've been doing this. We did jiu-jitsu last week. But it's the fact that she's always watching me train everybody else. Or she said, when are you going to teach me? Now I got nothing but time. You know, I have been afraid of the kitchen to cook, to do anything. I've been cooking, I've been experimenting, I've been doing, like, it's been forcing me to be, even though I'm in an uncomfortable position right now, I'm not used to being here, I'm learning how to go with the flow. So now I'm working on having meals ready for my wife to come home. So now I'm starting to find the positive. My mom, I'm learning patience, more patience. I'm a very patient person, but I'm learning more patience with her and understanding that now I see life from her perspective, excuse me, within reason. She can't leave, or she can, but she shouldn't. My mother is almost like is retired, so it's like living like a retiree. I can't go anywhere, and I'm stuck between these four walls, so I got to figure out things to do. And now I'm taking that time to find myself. So to encourage you and to say, maybe the fact that you're unable to focus on everybody else, but now you're focusing on your family, is giving you the time that you probably need because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I'm not saying that in the doom and gloom. I'm saying that for your heart. Because I will tell you, from a son who lost his father, that's the one thing I wish I had was more time to finally ask those questions. Or just to because right now I can recognize a smell. I can smell my father. That's all I got. I can hear my father. I can do something and reminisce on that. But if I never moved in or spent that summer at home with him every day, day in and day out, good time and bad time, I wouldn't have those. So stay strong, stay positive, and just know this is your time. You're manning up like a man. This is pushing you to be the man. Because you are now being made to do man stuff. Even though you might not have that time to be the kid that you want, you're becoming that man. Because you're thinking with a man's mindset. My mother's pregnant. My mother's got her ailments. I got to keep her safe. I got to spend this time with her. I got to make sure things are right for her. I have my 9-year-old sister here. I got to make sure things are good with her. You know what? I got to make sure this is happening. I got to focus here. So right now what I see a 16-year-old man sounding like this dude with the 5 o'clock shadow on the bottom about to go to sleep. Talking about Eddie down there.
One eye open, bro.
I'm looking down at my phone, so it kind of my eyes kind of here. Let me lift it up. There we go.
I'm just messing with you. I got you. That was his wrap it up, B.
no. But
wrap it up.
but Will. So
Yeah.
when you were talking earlier, the one thing that stuck out to me in what you were saying was true love, and you didn't use those words, but it was all over what you were saying. And to me, true love, and I learned all this through being married. To truly love somebody is to put them before you, and in a relationship, you put them before you, they put you before them, and it is uplifting tennis type of reaction. You know, I'm gonna do for you, you do for me, I do for you, you do for me. Now look at this scenario right here. What if I scratched my own back? It might be but if I had you three scratching my back, it'd be better. And then if us three scratched Omega's back, it'd be better. If us three scratch Z's back, if If us three scratched your back, it'd be better, right? As opposed to love. So I'm using the back scratching as a metaphor for love. If you love yourself, it's one person. Actually, that's like a half a person loving you, because you lose the element of surprise of the love you're receiving. It's not as compassionate because it's coming from yourself. But if you dish out love, um, and you're receiving love from other people, it is 10 times better. The problem with us humans is that we have people like you, Will. You dishing out a ton of love, and unfortunately, you are in that generation where people aren't giving it back. They're just taking, which is making you a rare type of person. But I'm bringing this up because I don't want you to get discouraged because of what you're going through. Like, I can hear the passion in your voice, and I can also hear the fatigue in your voice too, which is the fatigue of a grown man taking care of this person, taking care of this person. I'm doing this, and I'm tired. But don't stop, because every journey has a reward at the end. Every journey has a reward at the end. And it could be people learning from your example. It could be one person to come into your life to love you back the way you've been loving everybody else. But I just noticed that about you, what you said. So don't stop what you're doing or who you are, because you are definitely on the right track to making yourself a better person, the people in your household, and hopefully making your community and the world a better person. I'm definitely about what you're about, and that's loving people, putting people before me, and not even looking for receiving anything, just doing it out the kindness of my heart. So you are definitely on the right track. You're definitely doing a good thing in what you're doing now, especially at 16. You're ahead of the game.
Beautifully put. Beautifully
Yep.
put.
And Eddie, you just jumped into last week's conversation.
Oh, did I? It's because I'm
Yes,
psychic.
you did.
But it all ties in together. I mean,
Right.
that shows that there's this universal truth to it, like to what you're saying. It was beautifully put, by the way. Seeing that it's like I said, it's a universal truth. What you said, it still rings true from what we were talking about last week to where we're at this week. And if we all focus on it, I mean, from week to week, you'll see the things that we have been talking about here through this podcast, whether it's recorded or not. The kind of things that we're saying, the kind of things that we're going through each week, you'll see it rings true day after day, after week, after week, after month, after month. And I agree. Keep doing what you're doing, because that is love. The love for you is growing. The love for your family. Yeah. And Eddie, my God, you couldn't have put it better. Like the fatigue in his voice is definitely that fatigue of a grown man who has to take care of his family.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
I can definitely hear it.
Yeah.
We all can.
27.
Yeah, I can hear, but it's one of those things to where if you don't give up, it'll get stronger. Your love will grow, and you'll be able to bring more people, love more people. You'll have a better effect on people. You'll learn how to love people more. I feel like I'm rambling on. Like I love the concept of love. So I can talk on it forever, but don't stop what you're doing, no matter what anybody.
No, I appreciate that, bro. Because honestly, what's interesting about that and the fact that we're here, talking about this right now, is I feel like the reason, like that's my whole purpose in life is to make impact on people, just human beings in general. So like through that, so the fact that we're sitting here talking about that is kind of reassuring me that I'm on the right path to fulfilling my purpose. That's the reason I do music. That's the reason I do this, that, woo, woo, woo. Like that's my whole purpose, I feel like, is to make an impact on people in general. So the fact that we're sitting here, not to repeat myself, just doing this, it's just really reassuring, and it makes me just feel really good about myself, and that I'm on the right path, and that I'm doing good by other people and myself.
That's good. And remember, we talked about you can only empty your cup so much to where you need to be able to refill it.
Yeah.
So this, in a sense, this could be your refill. We could be your refill.
Mhm.
You know, you got to have a drink. Well, when your drink is done, somebody needs to refill it.
Mhm.
Well, you got a bunch of us right here. We'll be your bartender.
Got you.
We'll give you what you need.
Most definitely.
You know, you need a little bit of guidance. You need a little bit of love, a little bit of reassurance. You need a little bit of encouragement. We'll mix it all up and serve it to you, brother.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Sit in the cup.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Fill it up. Fill it up. Because that's what we all need, you know? And the crazy thing is, and I love the fact that, Eddie, you said it. I hear the fatigue in your voice. And you know why I love that? Is because it takes a person who's been there to know what it sounds like. You heard it. I heard it. I know Z heard it. We all have been there. In one way, shape, or form, we've all been there. So just know, if we can get through it, you can too.
You can do hard things.
I can do hard things.
Louder.
You can do hard things.
I can do hard things.
There you go.
You know what? That sounds like a great title for this episode.
We can do hard things.
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 Most
Yeah,
definitely.
I can do hard things.
Exactly.
I'm kind of unsure. Okay, all right. I'm glad you went to the wave because I didn't know where you were gonna come with that. I could do. I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, he about to do hard things.
Is this the Dub Squad, Eddie, that's about to come out?
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
Trying to join the stomp squad. Yeah.
I'm over here. I can eat all things.
Yeah, man. What, are you eating loaf of bread or something?
No, I was gonna
What's
ask,
going on?
have a bite podcast? Like,
Yeah. You only get to eat carbs on Tuesday, and you loading up.
I literally ate 2 sandwiches in a row.
I
I'm
saw
like,
that.
I'm hungry.
All of that.
Hey, so yesterday, just off subject a little bit, I'm really proud of you. Yesterday was the first time I got to run since February. Yes, and I ran a mile nonstop. I was winded, but I felt good. I felt free. Even though it was just up and down my street, you know, I have this like, I can track how far I'm running, but I was able to pull a mile off.
Nice.
Stuff.
Triumph is a triumph, brother.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You're doing good
Thank
for
you.
yourself regardless.
Yeah. I feel great. I feel good about it. I can't wait to run.
I can.
Something you said really resonated with me because, you know, like this being your, you know, this could be your recharge, because this is definitely something that I find that recharges me.
No,
You know, like
I look
all of
forward
them.
to this every week.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, even though, because Eddie, I mentioned earlier that I got to conquer a traumatizing fear within me yesterday. I have a crippling fear of the dentist, like deathly fear. And I went and got my tooth extracted yesterday because it was broken and I needed to, and all these things. We can get into more details later, but so going from being able to do that, I felt like every single week that we've gone into these talks, I feel rejuvenated. I feel revitalized. I feel like I can conquer the next thing that I need to conquer because I have the support of my family, you know, because that's the way I see you guys when we're on here. Like I view you, even when we're not on here, like I view you guys as family. oh, we're family. Eddie, we've only met this year and already consider you,
Right.
And we are family.
Literally.
and literally, and it feeling that support, feeling that kind of structure that I didn't feel like existed before having y'all in my life. I felt like this is that place for me. This is where I feel like that's where I can come to here. All right, now I can take what we do here and that energy and that power, that strength, that support, whatever it is, and then move on to my next thing that I gotta conquer. Like, I reached out to y'all when editing these. I was like, I'm letting you guys know this is what I'm doing, because to some extent I'm making it so that I'm being held accountable. Even though y'all aren't asking me, hey, did you edit the episode yet? Hey, when are you gonna put this out? Hey, are we still doing this as a something that we're gonna post or whatever? Like, even though none of you have said shit to me about it, like, I still put it out there because I'm like, no, I want to hold this as like a responsibility to not just myself but my brothers, to put this together and really emulate what we do here in a beautiful light. And so thank y'all, for coming here and doing this every single week, whether we record or not. I appreciate the times we get to come together and have these sorts of connections, have these sorts of conversations, and again, with the risk of repeating myself, I thank y'all for continuing to be not just my support, not just my nephew's support, but like support to each other. And I know we don't have everyone on here that is our co-hosts, but it definitely, it makes a difference.
Yeah, most definitely. I take a lot from this. Just every week being involved in this has helped me grow a lot. And just it lets me know. I was talking to Sean last week when and Eddie, I don't know if you met Sean or not, but that's like my brother type shit. Like
that's his Omega.
Yeah, that's my Omega. He was on the episode last week, and it was fun. But after everything was over and everyone said their goodbyes and shit, everybody left. Me and him had a conversation for a while too, for the rest of that night. And we were talking about how it's nice to know that there are other people who we can share these type of discussions with. Because for the longest time it was just me and him, and not a lot of people our age, or not even just our age. There's a lot of people who just are very closed-minded and they're not able to have these type of conversations without feeling weird or just, I don't know, they're just not able to do this shit. And it's just really nice to have this. And I do take a lot from it. And he most definitely took a lot from it just last week. And I feel bad because he's not here. He's on some snake shit right now. But
shake.
But like, if he was here right now, I know that he would say the same shit. And I know that me and him being a part of just like, not even being a part of our generation, just being a part of this in general is really, really nice. And it's nice to be able to be involved in conversations like this because we don't get that a lot. And it's just really nice to have because we take a lot from it. Because I know for a fact that I've taken the things that we talk about and I've applied it to my life for the most part. When I haven't even been on here for that long, but I'm already taking most of the shit that Omega you be telling me or that Richard be telling me, or just like I've been taking that shit to heart and really applying it to where I see fit.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's what I say in the beginning is no joke. We're diving into the hearts and minds of the generation. You're the generation. I'm the generation. Eddie and Omega, we're all different generations, but we're still the generation. We're the ones that are here.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt y'all. What up, Eddie? Good to see you.
Good.
Hey, I'm happy you showed up because now I'm not the latest person here.
Oh, good.
And on that note, have a good night, everybody. See you guys later. All right, good job.
My brother, peace.
gonna catch y'all later.
I'll see myself out. All right, gotcha.
I think he was giving a church finger and go like this. Excuse me. I'm glad you're back, RW. You were missed. I didn't know if you were gonna make it back. I was a little nervous.
Man. Like, even if it was just for 2 minutes, I definitely just want to pop back in. But I also don't want to keep y'all late because I know it's 9:30 where y'all at. But also, if you don't mind me asking, what was this conversation about?
Okay, basically, I was gonna ask you this question, sir. All right.
Okay.
So, where we started off with our entire conversation and where this entire topic has gone tonight has been, fear and where it shows up inside of us and how we handled it, and how we view and feel about people who are taking the social distancing thing as not as seriously as people should be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone through this evolution of conversation to back to one of our most famous topics of loving yourself, filling your cup. But for you, sir, I'm curious, what in your life have you found is one of your biggest fears that, if you have, you've triumphed over?
You said chimed over?
Triumphed.
Oh, triumphed over. Great question. That is really a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that, but I'm eager to hear everybody else's answer. I'm sure it was already stated, but let me marinate on that a little bit.
Dealing with facing my fear of roller coasters, and having to face that as a father to save face in front of my daughter, but also to be an example. But in regards to social distancing, it's finding the beauty in it, because everybody, like they said, and it was beautifully stated, everybody's ruled by fear. For me, it's not the fear that rules me, it's the finding the beauty in war, the beauty in the battle, the positive side of it. That's what I need to find. Because if I focus on the fear aspect of it, I'll be depressed, I'll be angry, I'll go through the whole gamut of emotion. But I find the positivity in it, from the family, time spent with the family, to time to bettering myself in my own way, and also figuring out ways of getting out of my own way in certain things.
Very well put.
I never talked about what the fear that I overcame. I came in the middle of Omega talking, and I kind of piggybacked off of his roller coaster thing. But I had a tremendous fear of failure. I looked up to my father a lot, and I still do. And getting his approval meant the world to me. So whenever I couldn't do something, he was a tough guy. Whenever I couldn't do something, I always felt like I was letting him down. Until he told me that failing is like an exercise. Anything you do as far as exercising, flipping, or anything, pretty much, because anything, period, you'll never get on the first try. And as a young man, I didn't look at that as failure. Like, if you told me to spin a ball on my finger and I messed up, I didn't look at that as failure. I look at that as I messed up. But he had to explain to me that was the same thing. So in taking his philosophy and growing up and dealing with failure, I learned that real failure is in quitting. And that's a fear that I have now that I'm not trying to overcome. I'm not trying to overcome my fear of quitting. I'm just trying to not quit it anymore. I don't want to be okay with quitting. So that's the I guess it's not a fear I overcame. It's something that I had to better understand. And also listen to Will Smith talk about fear a lot. He speaks about fear. Like, he has great speeches about fear. But that was my thing about failure. My thing was failure, not being able to do something, because of my height, my weight, or anything. Drives me nuts. So, yeah, that was my thing.
That's dope.
That was
I like it. Yeah, that was actually really dope. Okay. I think I'm similar to Eddie, as in, for example, going to college, right? I did undergrad and did a master's. One thing I didn't want to do was like fail out of school, because to me that was failure. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the biggest thing, undergrad, like I didn't want to be back home, like not a dummy. You know what I'm saying? And I knew I was just like, I can do school totally. I just don't want to be back home, because to me, like being at home just would have been like, you screwed up. You know what I'm saying? Like you were literally, I don't want to say the golden child, but like we didn't expect you to fail. And so by course graduated, undergrad and grad, but like I feel like the biggest thing I got over, it's not that I succeeded, it was just getting over the idea that failure, or just mistakes rather. Mistakes are a bad thing. That's what I'm looking for. Mistakes were a bad thing. Specifically, namely, I was a TV sports reporter. And of course, nobody wants to mess up. Nobody wants to make mistakes, right? But if you make mistakes on air, everybody knows, and you send your mind into this tailspin. But it's just like, how do you get better? Like going on what your pop said, it's exercise. Like you have to get better. And it's just, you have to make mistakes to get better. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure we've all made a mistake. We've learned from it, or we've learned somebody else's mistakes, and we just moved forward and like gotten better and just evolved as people. So I feel like the biggest thing is just learning that the biggest thing I've gotten over is learning that mistakes aren't a bad thing. Mistakes are actually a really good thing. You know what I'm saying? You have to make mistakes to get better, and just once learning that, but also not getting so upset at myself and just, angry at myself for screwing up, was just like, well, there's really nobody here to teach you. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't know a lot of stuff. You're learning a lot on your own. So it's okay. Give yourself some grace. So learning that mistakes aren't a bad thing. Mistakes are actually a really good thing. That's probably the biggest failure that I've got over.
Can I say something to you and Eddie?
Pop it on. Go ahead. What you got?
I've kind of been through similar situations, and I've kind of had that fear of failing, that fear of not succeeding, just in general. And another thing that I just learned from Sean was pain is progress.
Ooh.
And you can't grow without feeling some type of pain. So how are you supposed to learn from your mistakes if you haven't?
I like that. I like that a lot. Paid is progress. I'm gonna write that down.
Very true words. Something that you said earlier, Eddie, the Will Smith quote. I was saying it was fail forward, fail early, and fail often. Because I also was watching his speech about failure, because I mean, who doesn't struggle with that fear of failure? Like we all do. We're all worried about what people are going to think about our stuff, if it's not going to come out good enough, or what have you. That was something that I had mentioned before when talking, and Joe had chimed in. About like, I fear the stuff that I put out won't be good enough, or I feel like I wouldn't be creative enough or funny enough, or what have you, and just kind of like pushing through that and saying the quote of the night, I can do hard things. And something someone said to me one day, actually, Omega, I was in the car with Jimmy when this happened, and I had someone on the phone with me, and we were talking about them failing their martial arts exam and not being able to get their black belt. And they've tried several times to try and get their black belt, and they failed over and over and over again. And they were so discouraged. They were like, I don't know why I'm even doing this. Why I'm even in this. Who's going to want to learn from someone who fails all the time? And I stopped there and I was like, wait, do you not understand that every master fails? It's kind of the rite of passage. You can't know how to do something right unless you know how to do something wrong. And learn from it. Exactly. Learn from those mistakes. You know, the difference in failing is when you fail, do you get back up? Do you keep going? You know, and that was always the difference for me, you know, in the moments of clarity that I had of being like, I can do hard things. I failed. I'm gonna get back up and do it again.
I have a question for you, gents. I'm gonna take it up a notch. All right, this is great. Now, I actually was having this conversation with a friend today, right? I don't fault y'all at all because, you know, no pain, no gain, of course. But, you know, like sometimes hard lessons come in pain. But I hate that sometimes we have to learn through pain and learn through struggle. You know what I'm saying? For example, Chris Rock got a bit where he talking about OJ. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to reveal the punchline, but if ever y'all get a chance to watch it, please do. But basically, he was just like, I think he was on alimony. He was just like, you know, if your wife want 10,000 and you make 3 million, big deal, no problem. But he was just like, if your wife want 10,000 and you might, excuse me, if your wife want 10,000 and you make 30,000, you might have to kill her. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm sorry. I said all that to say, like, it's a difference when, let's say, for example, Bill Gates loses $1 million today. No big deal. He gonna be okay. We lose $1 million. You know what I'm saying? We maybe not even a million. We lose $5,000. You know what I'm saying? Just throwing money out there. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, I don't know everybody's financial situation. I'm just throwing a number. If I lose 5,000, I'm hurting. But anyways, but it's just like having those circumstances and resources where he can fail and it doesn't hurt as much. But like it hurts us so much more. You know what I'm saying? When that could be the same exact lesson, that lesson happens. But anyways, I'm sorry. That's all I had to say. And this is not criticizing anybody. Why do we have to learn through pain? You know what I'm saying? So,
All right. So here's what. Oh, go ahead, Omega. So let's say Chris Rock loses $1,000,
okay.
right? And it doesn't hurt him as much, but I lose $1,000. It's gonna hurt, but does the failure have to be more on my end? Wouldn't the failure? I would feel like the failure would be based on my lack of bounce back, or my lack of learning how not to do that again. Like, to be honest, I feel like I would have more of a benefit on not making that mistake again because it was more detrimental to my pockets than it is Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Chris Rock might lose $1,000 today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because it's only $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if one of us lose $1,000 or me, I lose $1,000. It's a big deal. So I need to fix that problem and move forward with it, which would, you know, assuming that we're doing the same task, learn it faster than he would because my failure would be bigger than his. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, sir.
Having room to fail also does work. It gives you less fear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I just talked in circles. My bad.
No, you're fine. Perfectly fine.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
And I want to go on another direction with that and say, what I have to learn through pain. Well, let's talk about our own bodies. We've all gone through this exact same pain. It's called a growth spurt. Mm-hmm. Right? Remember when your legs was toe up, your knees were killing you, you were aching. You're like, man, I'm only 11, I'm 12. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm too young for arthritis. It's not arthritis. Everybody says the same thing. It's growing pain. You're just growing. But that's what we're all going through. It's growing pains. You know, sometimes it's gotta hurt in order to grow. Sometimes, not all the time. But was that pain so bad to where it made you question if you can survive or continue? Was that pain so severe where it made you say, I don't want to be taller anymore? Was that pain
No,
so
man.
bad? And he was like, now bring the pain. Was that pain so bad that it made you say, I am unable, or I am unwilling, or I cannot? Or did you just say, this too shall pass, and you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, and you move on?
Yeah.
That's every single piece of pain that we go through in our life. It's all about perspective and how we attack it and how we accept it. Again, it's all about how we attack it and how we accept it.
I dig
You
it.
know, because in martial arts, I know 50-50 chance I can win or I can lose. But it's what I do to prepare myself for that success. And when I lose, I go to the drawing board and figure out, well, what do I need to do to become successful for the next round? In love and in life, same thing.
I dig it.
Beautifully put, brothers. Like I appreciate where this is gone. It's very enlightening to hear, you know, just where we're at in our own process of dealing with our various levels of pain, our various levels of fear. You know, those kinds of things are important to show. I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel those are the types of things that are important to show, because if you just see someone go from one day not doing anything to boom, the next day they're a superstar and they can do everything, you're like, where the frick did this superpowered human come from? You know, but if you watch them, it's different. If you watch them, you know, go from nothing and then they're showing the progress, their struggle, their pain, they're like, people love a comeback. People love like that that underdog story, you know, where you come from nothing, you build yourself up, you go, you fail, you get beat down, and then you bring yourself right back up, and boom, you make it to the top, and you do what you can. You know, it's you know, the flow, it's the process.
I have a question for y'all. Have you experienced anything that is not worth failing at?
I got one. I'll start
Can
off.
you explain that?
Yeah,
Okay.
So not worth failing at. Here's my example. Nobody in the history of the sport of trampoline dunking has done a double front flip dunk. If I was to do it, you know, I go down in history. If I make a mistake, I could be extremely hurt. But is the reward of executing a dunk greater than me possibly hurting myself?
Yeah.
Or is the, you know, so that's what I mean. So is there anything you've ever done where you're like, yeah, that'd be cool for me to do, but if I mess up, failure is more detrimental to me than the success would be?
I mean, if I'm talking minuscule things, it's like, you know, for me, a backflip. But you know, something that I felt like it was not worth failing at, raising my kid.
Oh yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
You know, and I feel like the idea of failing at that is subjective, you know, because everyone has their own way of parenting. Everyone has their own morals, beliefs, and ideals for how they want to grow their household. But I always felt like if I'm going to raise a child, I want to do it right and in a way that they can flourish after I'm gone. You know? Something I remember a quote. Oh no, I heard this from Black Panther. It just hit me. Black Panther, what he says, if I haven't prepared my children for after I'm gone, then I haven't done my job. And so that's something that I feel and have felt it's not worth failing at.
That is really good take, Z. So it's so crazy because that question, I feel like Eddie got a different interpretation, Z got a different interpretation, I got a different interpretation. So I like Eddie's because Eddie, then please correct me if I'm wrong, it was like, is how I heard you, is anything worth like the risk and reward? You know what I'm saying? Z
Yeah.
was like, and Z, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's just like, I have to set up my son. So it's just like, it's not worth failing, like, you know, or just taking it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't afford to fail, basically. How I interpret it as like, has anything ever been not worth your time? And so, right, you know what I'm saying? And so I remember off the top of my head, just to give you an example, before I moved to Cali, I got offered this random job. Long story short, it was like bartender / like host. And they were paying me $9 an hour, but they was like, oh, but you'll get great tips. But I was just like, y'all just got bought by like Anheuser-Busch for like $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying, like, they weren't trying to, you know, like negotiate or like, they just gave me a terrible offer. And that's when I learned some jobs just ain't worth your time. And that's okay. Nobody ever told me that before. Nobody ever, you know, sat me down and talked to me about that. I had to like learn through that terrible offer. So that's how I took it as and just like, has there been anything, and if I misheard you, my bad. That's just how I took it. It was just like, has there been anything that just like wasn't worth your time to like even try, where it's just like, even if you fail, it's just not worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful level of interpretation, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. Because, yeah, it is true. Like, we did take it in different directions.
My marriage. It's not worth failing.
Mm.
So many things in this life were and are important to me until I realized who was important to me. And sometimes you don't know that until you almost lose it. And when you sit back and you realize, I can always go back and be like everybody else, but that's not for me. I'm not meant to be everybody else, or else I would be everybody else. I'm meant to be me. And I'm meant to work through this. So I could not fail and have a failed marriage. It was not worth it. I had to fight. So I couldn't risk the failure of it. So I felt like the loss would have been greater than the success, because I would have lost my one true love. I would have lost my daughter. I would have lost myself. So I could either leave and lose it all, or I could stay and fight and learn and grow with somebody that's going to make me become a better person. So just as Z stated, being a father, it wasn't an option to fail being a father. Well, I couldn't fail my marriage because my marriage is my family.
Well put, brother. Very well put.
Mm.
What about you, bro?
I don't know yet. I have no idea yet.
Great answer. Great answer. Oh, really? I say that with sincerity because
Nothing wrong with that.
you know, it is part of the journey. I mean, it's weird to say this, like, yeah, you're 16, so you've got a lot more time to have failures to understand what's important. But you're 16, so you get to have this journey, but you're going through this with your mentality and your mindset, and with these gentlemen backing you in your life.
Agreed. And if I can add one thing, I don't mean to cut you off, Will. If ever you don't understand something, I'm going to tell you what my mama told me. Just keep living. Trust me, it'll all make sense. And it's just like, a lot of this may be over your head, and that's okay. But I promise you, it'll be a time in your life. Even if you never see or hear from us again, it'll be a time in your life and you'll be like, you know what? I remember what they was talking about. So this is what they was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So some things just might not hit you just yet. But you were legit getting ahead of the game, because you got everybody's at least 27, 28 on the line. So that's times 4, at least 100 years of just life experience of mine. But yeah, just keep living, man. You'll for sure get there, but also please don't be in a rush. Take as much, enjoy those years for sure.
Right, because life ain't short. People say life is short. People say life is short, but it's It's really not. You can go through a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
Life ain't
like
short. It's just Eddie.
it's up to you whether it's positive or shut up.
I love you, brother. I say it with love. I say it with love.
It's just up to you whether it's positive or negative. That's all. That's all I would
100%.
look.
100%.
Of
No,
course.
I forget sometimes that I'm only 16 and that I still have a lot to learn and that I'm barely starting my journey because for so long I've kind of had this different perception than everyone, and I've always been able to comprehend things that a lot of people just don't understand. Especially right now, I'm in that same position still. I feel like I'll always be in that position, but I forget that I'm not even then I'm not necessarily just above everyone else. And I still have shit to learn. Like I still have a lot to learn and a lot of
Yeah.
things to go through.
And I just want to add one more thing, if I may. I love y'all.
Well, you too, G.
Love you too, man.
And I appreciate y'all. And I appreciate these moments. Because I feel like I just grew a little bit taller.
Which couldn't hurt in your case, right?
Not at all. Not at all. Ew, see?
What was the first? Bruh. You up there?
No, that was before.
I'm not getting the same effect over here.
But this knowledge is so amazing, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this wealth of knowledge has been amazing. This love has been phenomenal. And just to know that we are able to talk about this has been so beneficial. You know, I mean, to see Richard's frozen smile on my screen has been amazing.
It's gorgeous, ain't it? I see it too.
Pearly whites just
No, that's going on the ground.
But this has been perfect. And man, great stuff. Eddie.
Hey, can I give you a movie to watch? I just
Yes.
watched this movie called Time Trap on Netflix. Yeah, Time Trap. It wasn't like a big blockbuster hit or anything, but the plot, the story, the whole concept of the movie was so good. Like I was thinking about it when I was asleep. So just check that movie out.
I'm typing it in right now.
Yeah, Time Trap on Netflix. All right, it's only like an hour and 20 minutes. This is short. It's pretty dope.
Okay, and thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it. When we were talking about fear and everything else earlier, I had a series for you guys to watch because it's so it relates to what we're going through at this very moment. Containment.
Give me 1 second, Chief. Let me write up all this down.
On Netflix, and Kevin Hart is the one who actually said, and he watched it, and I watched it with my wife, and it's like you literally see the parallels between reality and fiction. It's literally doing this. No longer a parallel. Like you really see it, and it tripped me out. Containment. It's a series.
Question for you two. Eddie, is because I don't do scary, I like suspense, but I don't do scary. Is Time Trap gonna make me piss my pants or crap my pants?
No, it's not. It's not as scary. It's suspenseful.
Okay.
You know, it makes you wanna it makes you want to get to the end of the story to see what the hell is going on.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I love anyway, all right. Omega, same question for you. Is containment gonna make me crap my pants?
It's gonna be right there. It's gonna be right there.
I want to watch a scary movie with you.
Please, no.
When we're done here, I'm gonna finish Hereditary and then I'm going to bed.
That movie is
actually
Hereditary. I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, well, if you don't like scary, I'm not surprised.
Richard,
I'm
you
good.
watch Hereditary. It's not scary at all, I promise.
First of all, see, all right, because we're gonna have to fight. Because if I have a single nightmare, I'm coming for you. All right, I will count your dreams. Okay. But
all right, gentlemen. I just want to raise a glass to y'all and thank you for another successful night of the Have a Drink podcast. I want to say until next time, I invite all of you to come sit, think, and have a drink as we dive into the hearts and minds of our generation. I love y'all, brothers.
Wait, man.
Love you too.
Me too.
Y'all be easy, man. Stay safe out there.
Bring me a Whataburger.
Say no more. Done.
All right, y'all. Love y'all. Good night.
Ready? You got one more time. One more time.
All right, y'all.
All right, y'all be easy.
Peace.
All right, my
All right,
brothers.
peace.